Okay, we have 2 originals going out here. Those were already pre-baked and set up last night, so I won't show you the process of that, but we have 2 orders this morning that someone's on their way to pick up now. Good morning. We have quite a lot to do. We need to bake a loaf of bread that we set up yesterday. I forgot to show you that, so it's just already made, and we'll pretend I showed you that. And then we have cinnamon rolls to set up. We need 12 of those for a mommy and me party that my friend is throwing. And then we also have a loaf of bread that someone asked me about yesterday. She's a returning customer. She's super sweet. Love making anything for her. So I'm going to prioritize getting the loaf out. I think during my lunch break today, I'm going to do 2 things. I think during my lunch break, I'm just going to focus on setting up the cinnamon rolls because it takes like 20 minutes with all the kneading and stuff. I need to get this loaf out quicker rather than later because our neighbor just had a baby and it was a little bit of a hard time. So I want to bless her with some bread so that way she doesn't have to think about food or worry about anything that is irrelevant besides her and her baby. So we're just going to get started on putting the Dutch oven in the oven, and then once that heats up, we'll pop the bread in and we'll let that cool for as long as possible. I want to keep it a little bit warm, but I don't want it to be hot when I'm handing it to her because I don't want the steam in the bag. Anyway, those are the 3 things that we're going to do today. And yeah, let's just pop right into that next series. Okay. I think I want to use this one today. I always flip you guys off. I'm trying not to do that. Now we're going to do my favorite thing, which is set up some bread. We've got our water here. Now I'm going to add our starter. And I love this sound. Sounds like Bonnie after she plays fetch after too long. Then we're just going to mix that. We are grabbing 2 cups of flour. One, 2. We're definitely going to need more, but I like to mix the 2 first to figure out how much more is actually necessary. It looks like quite a bit. So I feel confident putting about that much in there. Oops. Yeah, I think that was actually a perfect amount. We want our dough to be shaggy, but we don't want any bits that we can feel on the, whatever we're mixing it with, like wet spots. We don't want that. We want every bit of our dough to be covered with some type of flour. And I don't feel any super sticky. There's some leftover that's not absorbing right now, but in the 30 minutes we're gonna wait, it'll absorb in. So I feel confident saying that's pretty good. And then we're gonna put this away for 30 minutes, add some salt, and then we'll start with our stretch and folds. Okay, we have our loaf. The oven is heated up. Just gonna take this. It kind of looks like a heart, doesn't it? Okay, sorry, getting distracted. And then do what we normally do, which is just stretch it out. This is when I like to check for any extra bubbles or chunkier parts so I can stretch that out to make sure when I'm rolled up and baking it's not going to make a gummy section because no one likes gummy bread. So I just really try to hone in on these. You can pull them apart like that, or you can just literally let it hang and then grab it at different spots and let that hang. I make sure it's getting more flour as well. I don't want any spots that are like cold or anything like that. And you want it to look a little bit like this. See, there's that section in the middle. I'm just gonna pull that taut, and then we're gonna travel fold it. Brochure, that's what they're called. We're gonna travel brochure it. and then roll. I like to pull a little bit as I'm rolling so it gets a little bit tighter. You got a burrito looking thing. I know some people can leave it like this. I don't know how that turns out, so I do my little push and pulls here, which allows me to get the corners underneath and create that round shape that I want. And it allows for any little bits of bubbles to pop out. Like you see a bubble popped there. I'm gonna try to hide that underneath and get some newer sides out. And then voila, we have a round loaf. Now, sprinkle a little extra on top. And then the worst part of all for me, I'm gonna get good at this one day. I know I will. We're just not quite there yet. I'm thinking, when I think of a new baby, what am I thinking? I'm thinking sunshine. So let's try, I've never done this before. Famous last words, but I wanna try just like the literal sun. I don't know. Everything that you score is up for interpretation. So I can just tell her, you know, later on it was a light bulb or something, I don't know. But I'm thinking just like a little sun on the horizon because there's so much for that little baby. Now I'm getting really sentimental. Wow, okay. That makes me really sad, actually. Not sad, but like emotional, I should say. I'm afraid that's gonna look fugly, but I don't know what to do about that. If you have found a way to slice your bread without it separating like that, let me know. Until then, this is what we're working with. Will it turn out like that? Probably not, but we'll see. Okay, I'm gonna take my Dutch oven out. And then my favorite thing, these baking mats. Never using parchment paper again. That's like a must for me. If anyone asked me what my essentials were, it would be this baking mat, as well as like a Dutch oven. Like if you have this, then you should have that type thing. They just are perfect, honestly. Top that off and we'll put that in the oven now for 30 minutes. Okay, we have our first action item. We're gonna grab less than a tablespoon of salt. Probably about that much of salt, so just a little bit less than a tablespoon. We're gonna sprinkle, and then we're just gonna make sure that's kind of incorporated. And then back 30 minutes it'll go, so we can start our stretch and folds. 30 minutes are up. We're gonna take the top off this. Oh no. The image is completely gone, but can't say we didn't try. Okay, now we're on to our first stretch and fold for this bread. Okay, perfect. Set that back for 30 minutes and we're going for round 2. Bread is complete. It's a gorgeous color, you can see. Unfortunately, it is a bit of a football. I don't know if you can tell. It's more elliptical than anything else, and you can see the scoring's gone. But we did our best, and I think she'll enjoy it just as bread rather than a centerpiece. Okay, lucky number 2. You can see it's already gotten smoother. It's a bit easier to stretch and pull. On to our final one. Okay, I didn't set a timer for the last one, so I'm just guessing on how long 30 minutes has been. But we're doing our final stretch and fold. Perfect. And then we're gonna let it sit for 10 minutes and then we'll roll it out and put it in the fridge to proof overnight. Okay, now it's time. Got a little handful like this. And then just sprinkle it. And then I like to let mine fall out. I feel like pulling it disturbs whatever it's got going on. I roll the dough around in some flour. Make sure all the sides are coated, and then I'll stretch it, and I'll do the same thing. Make sure it's coated in some dough, stretch the other side, make sure that is coated in some dough, and then I'll just repeat. I'm not too worried about how it looks right now because it's gonna proof overnight. Still do these little push and pulls though, so they get into like the shape I want. But then from there, it's just a quick. And then I'm gonna put this in the fridge. Okay, we had a brief intermission, but we're back. We're doing cinnamon rolls now. I'm not gonna show you this whole process because I have a video on it. I'll link it. But we're gonna go microwave this milk right now. While that is microwaving, I'm gonna take 1/4 cup of this butter here and get that ready to be melted because it needs to be melted and cooled before we add it to the batter or dough. Just gonna cut this up so it melts quicker. Oops. Okay, now we're gonna do 2 teaspoons and 1/4. 1, 2, and 1/4. And then we're gonna add some sugar. Here's 1/4. I don't think I really share on here much, but I do watch so much YouTube whilst I'm doing things. So I'm watching Sydney Graham's latest vlog. It's pretty good. Now we can add the eggs. So we have always so nerve-wracking. And I believe this butter has cooled. Yeah, it's cooled down. Just gonna pop that in and then mix. I'm gonna be mixing until I don't see yolk in there any longer. Mix to combine. Okay, after 8 minutes of hand kneading the dough, we are ready to let this rise and rest. So I'm going to paint this bowl with some olive oil. Make sure it's even and all the way to the top because sometimes it really does grow that big, especially in the summertime when there's more heat in this kitchen. It really does grow and I don't want it to get stuck in anywhere. So I always make sure I olive oil the top, and then I find a smooth spot to make that the top, like that. Set it upside down, flip it on itself, and then cover for an hour and a half. Our dough, fully risen. See, I told you it gets quite big. Okay, now we're just gonna roll it out. And I like to let this fall too. I don't want to force it out. And then we're gonna add the butter and the filling. We'll be done for tonight. Now we have our butter that's been sitting out for the whole time it's been proofing. Just gonna make my way around the dough with it. There's a bakery that I follow on here actually. They're out of Ohio. I've seen they make cinnamon rolls like 6 times the size of the ones that I make. I make personal ones. They make, you know, production level. But I've seen them use, or I've seen her use a spatula, which I found really interesting. I tried that, but I did not have any luck. So I'm wondering, maybe mine just isn't like room temperature enough or what? Because this does look a little bit like I'm playing. It reminds me of when we were little in school and they would put shaving cream on the desk and you like drew pictures with it. That's kind of what it feels like. So it is like a little nostalgic, but it does look kind of silly. Sometimes I feel like when there's people who have thought of better ways of doing it, like with a spatula, I just can't get the same control as I can with my fingers. So until I find a better option, this is what I'm gonna keep doing. Now we have our mixture that's cooled and we're just gonna do the same thing. So during my proofing time. I set a timer like 30 minutes prior to when it's supposed to be done so I can make this mixture, because I've found when it's hot, because you're using melted butter, it runs out, it like seeps out, and then during the baking process it also continues to seep out. So not only when you're rolling it the initial time, but like when you're actually baking it, it does tend to bleed out. So I try to do it 30 minutes prior so it has time to cool and so it stays in. Again, back to that, I'll link their channel below, but back to that family in Ohio, they do, I tried one of the recipes, they do butter and then they'll just literally do the cinnamon mixture, and so it comes on like a dry ingredient on top versus this nice texture that I have, which I thought was interesting. I wonder if other people do that too, but this is just how I've always done it and I like it. I think it comes out nicely as well. All right, gonna fold this and then we're gonna put this in the fridge overnight. And then this bit, I kind of like to spread it out so everything's getting rolled at the same time, so when it folds over it looks a little more seamless. And then I'll pudge it up, make it one giant one. And then take my thread for my sewing machine that my sewing machine does not like. It just doesn't, it always gets stuck, like either in the bobbin or like actually sewing itself. So now I use this instead of dental floss. I know people do that. I initially cut off the ends and I try to get the least amount cut off. Before I used to cut off a lot, but like now I'm really trying to savor all the dough that I have because I'm trying to make them more even. That was some feedback I got, so I'm trying to make sure I'm being as even as possible. Even that I think is a little to the left. So I'm gonna go down the middle here, and then that's one section we'll deal with later. We're looking for 12. I think that's actually better. Somewhere in the middle actually. Right there. Okay. So right now we have 4. Now we just need to cut that into 3. So 1, 2, 3. See how uneven it used to be? Probably there. Let's go like this. And then I always start double checking myself. I'm like, does that actually equal 12? I think so. We'll see. 1, 2? No. 1, 2. Yeah, that's probably better. I just feel like it's hard because sizing does change so much. Like at the coffee shop, they request 14, so the math is a bit different. It's like normal dozen's 12, right? Which is what we're doing here, and then you have baker's dozen, which is 13. But the 14 really throws me for a loop. So it kind of comes different sizes every time, which is just funny to me, honestly. Okay. 1, 2. Let's make that a little bit bigger. 1. Lovely. There we go. I'm just gonna take and place everything. That's a big boy. Wow. Going in. It's 7:46 in the morning. We have an 8:30, 8:45 delivery time. We just put the cinnamon rolls in the oven. I'm gonna set up the icing. I just woke up, sorry. I'm gonna set up the icing That way, as soon as it comes out, we can drizzle it. I'm thinking about bringing it because it's not that far of a drive. And then drizzling on top, not sure yet. And then we'll be on the road. I'm gonna bring you with me. I don't normally do that, but I'm just gonna keep this rolling. I don't even remember the measurements for this anymore. I just know these two. The small one is the vanilla. The big one is the milk. That's genuinely how I do it. And I know I do 2 of the little, 3 of the big. Which I just think is hilarious, actually. Saying it out loud is actually hilarious. Someone would ask me for a recipe, I'd be like, 2 of the small, 3 of the big. Now I bought more last night in anticipation of not having enough. Which, honestly, I might be fine. We'll see. This we do a full cup of, I know that. And then just mix it together. I usually have to let it take a second to kind of get fully incorporated. And then I just test it, like not really by feel, but more about how it falls. Yeah, that's actually perfect, because when I drizzle, yeah, perfect, all right. Sometimes it's not perfect, so it's good to always double check. The one in the middle didn't get as cooked, but. Okay, we just got back from dropping off the cinnamon rolls. I didn't film that at all because I was just chatting. Now we are going to set up for tomorrow. We have 6 cinnamon rolls and another loaf of bread. This loaf of bread isn't gonna be the original, it's gonna be the cinnamon raisin, so we're gonna have a little extra something to do in the morning, but it should go by fairly quickly. So I'm gonna get started on the bread. I don't think I wanna do the cinnamon rolls right now. I need like a moment where I sit before I start work, so I'm gonna set this bread up really quick. All right, same thing as yesterday. Have our starter. Got pretty tall last night, actually. Will say I've not used this much flour in a long time. I've heard, my friend told me that you can get like 5-pound bags from Sam's, and I think I just, like if you order it ahead online, and I think I just need to research that because buying these like 2-pound bags every time, I just didn't have that many orders, so I never looked into it, but now that orders have started to pick up, I might take a little gander and see. Because there's one not too far from my house. I know Costco's a good place, and there's like restaurant-ish Sam's that you can get like wholesale stuff for restaurants, but I think that one's a good ways away, so I have not looked into that either. I think this is gonna need a good bit. I just love how quickly sourdough comes together. Like you've set up for cinnamon rolls takes like 20 to 25 minutes, which is why I'm always like, oh, I really got to set time aside to do this, but this is taking me 4 minutes and I'm already done. And that was me going really slow because I'm still a little lethargic. I need some energy. I tried to stop by Dunkin' on the way home, but I don't have enough points in my account. And I don't get paid till Friday, so I was like, nope, that's not gonna happen today. I actually think I could use a little bit more. So I'm gonna have to make do, I think I might do a tea or something. I'm trying to stay away from energy drinks. I think it's tearing up my stomach, which is why I can't eat a lot of the things I like. So I'm trying to stay away, but man, does it give you a good energy boost? Whoa, hold on. Moment of silence here, because look at this. No hole. That's never, like honest, the amount of bags I've opened to how many times that's happened has probably been like 1 in every 20 bags. That's insane. That means it's gonna be a great day, everyone. Wednesday, November, what day is it? Everyone's gonna have a great day on today because that just happened. And you were all witnesses to it. So whatever day you're watching, I hope it's a great day for you. Because so far it's been a good one for me. That was just unreal. Wow, I love that. All right, after adding all the extra, I just felt a little bit of wetness. Like there's a little bit of wetness, but I think I can pick it up with this flour here. Yeah. So I just wanted to add a little bit more. The rest will get absorbed while it's sitting. But yeah, done with the bread. Gonna start work now. Actually, I have a little bit of time to read a book. Took me a total of 6 minutes, and that was me taking my time. You can't beat it, guys. You can't beat it. That's why I always recommend sourdough to everyone. Because we used the red one last time, now we're gonna use the gray one. I'm gonna set this to 425. This just went off, so I'm gonna add my tablespoon salt. And then let it sit for another 30 minutes. So I did actually forget I turned on the oven. So we're gonna put this in the oven really quick. I do that often. If it's not in front of me, I'm like, if my head wasn't attached, like I know people say that, then I'd probably lose it. Like I really would. If it wasn't in front of me, I would have lost this entirely. I had to come down here because my starter or my sourdough's ready for the first stretch and fold, and so I was like, oh yeah, and then I smelled the oven on and I was like, oh no. We're gonna do our travel brochure fold, and then we're gonna tuck and roll. Tuck and roll, and then push, pull, push. Sorry, pull, push, pull, push. Definitely doing that backwards. I want that tucked. Let's do what we used to do, which is right up the middle and then up the sides. You know, that's never steered me wrong. I think actually I might get rid of these lines going forward and just have wheat stalks, but for now this is good. Here goes our little friend off into the oven. And then while we're here, and do a little stretch and fold. Whoa, big hole. Okay. There we go. And I can feel some salt there, so I'm gonna try to disperse. All right. Another 30 minutes. Okie dokes. Let's take the lid off this. It broke a little bit, but that'll be all right. You know the deal here, stretch and fold. Another lovely loaf. I think it actually looks pretty good. Okay, believe it or not, this is the last little bit of the bread for today. We still have more tomorrow, but that is tomorrow's problem. This has been all set up. The only thing to do after this is set up the cinnamon rolls, but they're not in a rush. I don't need them till tomorrow, so I'm gonna probably do what I did last night, which is wait until after work and do it like during dinner time. Okay, a little push and pull, push and pull. Perfect. Okay, so we've had a few updates. The dough has been rising. It doesn't look as tall because it's in the mixing bowl, but this has been proofing, and now we're just gonna roll out these cinnamon rolls. The person ordering them likes a little bit of pumpkin spice in the filling, so the filling looks a little different because it has pumpkin spice in it, but other than that, everything's the same. And I did the same thing, so I didn't feel like I needed to show the process entirely, but I figured I'd show you. So there's proof that I did make this week. So this is our second set of cinnamon rolls. We have another one on Sunday, and then so far, that's all I know of. We'll have some other things to bake next week, but for the most part, we're winding down. We have a couple things to make tomorrow, and then set up something for Friday, and then we have a couple things to bake on Friday. But the week is rounding out quite nicely, and it's been a busy one to say the least, so very happy to be getting this done. It's around 9:18. As per usual, we're just gonna move the butter around. I try to keep it out. I said yesterday I have full time of proofing, but some days it's a little bit cooler in the kitchen, therefore it's not as melted. I have to like, this one specifically, I've noticed I have to actually like parse it, break it up, because the last thing I want is holes in my dough. That's the last thing I would want. I'm trying to just break it up so we don't have any holes. Everything gets spread evenly, and then that is that done. Okay, put it in the fridge. We'll bake it off tomorrow afternoon during my lunch break. There's our mixture going on. I can smell the difference. I think the texture is also a little bit different. I've noticed it's a little bit of a different color. It's not as dark as yesterday's, which is to be expected, but yeah, I think it's good. And then just spread this evenly. Or try to at least. This rolled out really nicely, so I think it's going to roll up quite nicely as well. Always trying to pull it towards me, create more tension, make sure everything gets the same amount. And then I'm gonna pull at these ends, make sure it's getting evenly rolled. And then make it into it. Okay, this is what we have. We're gonna set them in the fridge and let them proof over. Good morning, good morning. It is 7:28. We are working on one of our final loaves of the week. We are making a cinnamon raisin loaf. We're gonna bake it, and then we're gonna go to a local coffee shop because they're actually filming the Hunting Wives down the road, and I'm nosy, so I wanna go watch. I might get a couple clips there, I might not, depending on how like locked down it is. But yes, I'm trying to immediately get this out and in the oven so I can leave. That's the goal. We shall see. Haven't made this in a while, so this might be a little rusty. 1/4 cup of sugar. 2 teaspoons of all-purpose. I'm okay with getting a little extra. Now we're gonna mix that. I think that's good. Okay, last time. 425, and then while I'm setting up this bread, it'll be the same time that we finish, that this finishes heating up. Our bread's looking good. Okay. Yeah, it's gotten really nice overnight. Good. Always makes me happy. I know it happens every time, but I'm always like, oh, isn't that lovely? What a surprise. Like it hasn't happened every single. I like to coat it, but I don't want it to be swimming in it. So I'm sure for the actual recipe you would need all of this egg wash, but I use probably less than a tablespoon of it. I use a spoon and then I just tap it because I find I have more control that way than grabbing a clump and shaking around. And then I just try to fill any available space. The raisins. I did soak these for 30 minutes prior, so any extra juice or dye would come out, so we're just left with the pure raisins because it's gonna heat and expand and bring back that juiciness, but we don't want it to be so much that it makes the bread wet. First turn. I did forget I needed to use the egg wash on more parts of the bread, so I put that in the sink and I didn't feel comfortable using it after. So we have a new brush. I feel like it's actually more direct than the one I had, so I need to be a little more cautious with it, but it's a little bit harder to get the raisins on the turns, but I'm trying my best because I do want it to be throughout. Now we're just gonna do our usual push and pulls. Make sure everything gets tucked underneath, but sprinkle on top. And I think I'm gonna do the same scoring as yesterday because I feel like that will work. But instead of doing the line like I normally do, I'm just gonna do a wheat stock and see if that changes how it bakes. Because I feel like that line allows it to open up. I got that original scoring pattern for my first video, sourdough. Stephanie, I'll link her channel as well. It's just funny. Some things you keep and some things you change as you're learning and growing in your own way. Because everything's not going to be the same as if someone else did it. So I just find that interesting. But this has remained the same. This is the one thing I've kept the same. As well as the recipe, to be fair. The recipe stayed fairly the same. I think I've changed a couple things on how she makes her sourdough. But for the most part, it's been kind of the same. That video really helped me step into sourdough at first because it seemed so overwhelming. Okay, so it looks like this bread had its own plan because if you remember, this was the top. And it has stretched a little bit, but this part just exploded underneath. Not ideal, but... Okay, it has been a few hours later. We finished the cinnamon raisin loaf bread. We have started... It's in the microwave right now. We have started another loaf for tomorrow. I'm going to experiment with the s'mores flavor. So like graham cracker, chocolate chips, marshmallows, you know the deal. See if that could be a rotating flavor or a standalone flavor on itself, on its own. And then you just saw me put cinnamon rolls in the oven. I have a delivery during my lunch break that I'm going to complete. And then, yeah, we have a few more things tomorrow and then set up on Saturday for Sunday bake for cinnamon rolls. It's been a full week of baking. If you're still watching, let me know what you're up to this week. What bakes did you get into? Also, I feel like we're just hanging out baking together. Going to start my first round of stretch and folds on this sourdough in a second, and then in 30 minutes, or in 20 minutes, these cinnamon rolls will be done. I finally feel like we're in the home stretch. 2 of these. Three of those. So I forgot I had started this, and I went to drop off the cinnamon rolls, and this is it at the end of the night. It's 8:54 p.m. And yeah, we're gonna trash this, unfortunately. I don't think this is salvageable at all. It is Saturday. We are working on making cinnamon rolls to set up so we can bake them tomorrow morning. And then that will be a full week. We did nothing on Friday because I forgot. We did nothing selling wise on Friday. So today and yesterday were kind of our chill days. Our weekend, if you will. And then tomorrow starts back up. I'm excited to be done with this because this takes a long time and I want to be horizontal on the couch, honestly. Okay, I'm gonna do my favorite part. Everybody say, ooh, ah. That's a big boy, honestly. 'Tis a big boy. We're gonna try to make this bad boy as even as possible. So starting with cutting off these ends. It's not gonna do anything. I'm looking at, this is the middle. And then here's the middle. Get more out of this one. 1, 2, 3. Yeah, I can get 4 there. We have our last remaining in here. 6:46 in the morning. And these just came out. They look really nice.